Human authority in the age of machine confidence. We are entering an era where machines can sound very certain, but certainty is not the same thing as authority, right? Human authority is still the difference between progress and chaos. I am Christy Straw, founder of Lighthouse Leadership Consultants, and I work with leaders to protect momentum when the stakes are high. In small to mid-sized organizations, AI adoption can feel deceptively simple. Hey, pick a tool, run a quick training, and tell your team to use it, right? That's really all it entails, most people think. But in fact, if it breaks really loudly. And this shows up as inconsistent quality, missed deadlines, customer risk, and a ton of internal tension amongst your team, suppliers, etc. So when AI enters the workflow, people start asking questions they very rarely say out loud. Will this replace me or expose what I don't already know, right? That's the first thing they want to know. The second thing is, will I look incompetent while I'm learning? And the third thing is, if I use the tool wrong, will I lose trust or will I get into trouble? Okay. Again, these are the things people are thinking and rarely say out loud. And if leaders don't answer those questions with language and behavior, and those two things in alignment, you get really polite compliance and meetings and private avoidance, right? The water cooler talk, the Slack chat, it is avoidance. So here's the framework I use with leaders who want adoption to stick. Okay, this can be AI adoption, this can be any adoption. 3 things must be crystal clear. All right. The first thing, which I spend a ton of time talking about with teams and boards all across the world, is trust. First and foremost, your team needs to know your real intention. Okay. So not some silly little statement like, oh, AI is the future. No. Okay. This is the time to state your true intention. Are you using AI to reduce busy work? Are you using it to improve quality, to protect margins, to speed up a delivery, or to create additional capacity? All right, that's the first thing. We've got to be honest about our intentions and have that conversation. The second thing that must be present is authority. Who decides what is acceptable use versus unacceptable use of this tool and the output? All right, that's the first thing. Whose decision lane does that fall into? What can be automated? What is allowed to be automated? What must stay human? These are questions that have to be asked and everybody has to understand. And then what must be reviewed before it ever makes its way into the hands of a customer, right? All of these things must be clear and in place as well. And then lastly, and super importantly, is decision speed, decision velocity. AI creates micro decisions for everybody every single day. Which tool do we use? Where do the prompts live? What is our quality metric? When do we escalate? If decisions are slow or unclear, people stop using the tool because it creates friction and it creates risk. AI adoption fails when trust is unclear, authority is vague, and decisions are slow. And that's not a tech problem, my friends. That is a leadership design problem. So let me make it real, okay? A founder says, hey, use AI wherever it helps, right? That's the instruction to the team. One person uses it aggressively and beats up output in a big, big way, right? Another person avoids it because they're afraid of being judged for their output compared to, Tom over here who's using it like a star. And then you've got your third teammate who uses it, but quality drops because no one has defined what must be reviewed prior to it being sent along or even to the customer in the end. So now the tool gets blamed. I've seen it time and time again consulting far and wide. Okay, the tool now is blamed, but the real issue is that the human authority layer was never actually installed with the team and with any sort of cadence that had any weight. All right. So here are 3 moves you can make this week. And these work even if you're in a smaller team. All right. The first thing is state your true intention in 1 sentence. We're using AI to reduce busy work and improve quality, not to replace people. Period. Allow a conversation. Second, define a simple use policy for your AI in plain language. What's allowed, what's not, what must be reviewed. It's just 1 page will do, but something documented. That also creates a lane for people to escalate any sort of questions they might have. And then third is install a weekly 15-minute cadence. What has worked this week, team? What failed miserably? Create a failure wall, a failed experiment wall. I do that all the time with teams that I lead. Here's what we're changing next based on these failures, which truly actually makes them learnings, right? So when you do these things regularly, you're building a rhythm, and that in turn builds competence. It reduces fear, it creates psychological safety, and it keeps your standards intact. So in the age of machine confidence, human authority is in fact the one and only differentiator. And if you want the technology to grow and to scale, leadership clarity has to lead the way and grow and scale first. If you want to see more of my work, you can find me on LinkedIn. I am Christy Straw, founder of Lighthouse Leadership Consultants.